Hello everyone, thanks for tuning into today's bird video. We're going to have a look at the weather next 10 to 14 days for today's bird video. Day 10 will take us to the 7th of October, and we'll be able to extend that beyond that with the GFS and ECM ensembles. Maybe run around a couple of weeks. We'll have a look at the CFS V2 for October itself at the end of the video, and I should get on with that for you in a moment. Just say about the first video today with our 6 AM UK weather forecast. We've also released Jammy Friday, and we've got the ECM at WF42 day forecast for the UK and Ireland coming up for you around 7 PM this evening, and that is brought forward from when it would normally be released tomorrow morning, Saturday morning, because tomorrow we've got the first winter 2024-25 seasonal model roundup for you. More about weekend videos and content though at the end of this video. Well, we've released our latest photo for our calendar. We're up to September now, so let's have a look at that, shall we? Here we go. That is our gorgeous September picture. Classic misty morning on on a September morning there. That's from James Johnson. Thank you so much, James, for submitting that photo and being included in the GavsWeatherVids calendar as well. That is absolutely awesome. Well done, and congratulations, James, for submitting your photo. And I love it. Absolutely love that. Thank you so much, James. Got 3 more to do, October, November, December, over the next 3 days. The calendar will be going on sale on Tuesday, 1st of October. It's retailing for £12.50, that's £10 a calendar, £2.50 postage and packaging, and you'll be able to send that to GavsWeatherVids PayPal account. More about that next week. Thank you so much, everybody, for submitting your photos, and well done, and congratulations to James Johnson for your photo submission there. Right, let's crack on with video. We have got 3 areas of interest in the subtropical Atlantic. We've got a red X, we've got Hurricane Isaac, and we've got now Tropical Storm Helen, moving inland into southeastern parts of America. That hit the Gulf Coast as a Category 4 hurricane about 12 hours ago. It really powered up very quickly yesterday, slammed and smashed into the Gulf Coast, and is now pushing northwards as a tropical storm through those southeastern states of America. Absolutely devastating storm, though, that was when it made landfall. Currently, it's giving maximum sustained winds of 60 miles per hour with a minimum central pressure of 972 millibars. This will be going post-tropical imminently as it carries on pushing further northwards up towards Kentucky by the time we get into the weekend. Right, the red X down here, that's disturbance 1. Got a 90% chance of cyclone formation in the next 2 days. It looks like that will become our next tropical storm and or hurricane. And then we have got a Category 1 Hurricane Isaac, giving maximum sustained winds of 75 miles per hour. Clicking on Isaac, we can see that this is forecast to stay as a Category 1 hurricane, moving towards the Azores, where it weakens and becomes a tropical storm, and then we'll go post-tropical as it pushes further north into the North Atlantic through the early part of next week. We shall keep you updated and in touch with all of the developments. Central temperature has continued to tick down. We're now sitting at 14.6. That's 1.1 degree above 61 to 99 average. It's provisional to yesterday, 26th of September. Thinking it's going to end up at about 14.0, something like that when we get through to the end of the month. Got a couple of really quite cold nights that should bring that down quite a bit more. So I think we're going to land up probably somewhere between 14.0 and 14.2 or 3, something like that. We shall know next Tuesday. These were GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles the next couple of weeks. We're at London today. Excuse me, the red line Here's a 30-year upper air temperature average for London, starting off below average, colder than average at the moment, quite substantially and significantly so. We do get a bit of a tick up by the end of the weekend to the start of next week, but that's only associated with a new area of low pressure, and then we come back down again through the early part of next week, goes quite chilly again. Beyond that, from the first week into the second week of October, well, again, another bit of a warm up there later next week before the upper air temperatures again start slipping away, perhaps as we go into the second week of October. Overall, I think that's looking a relatively cool first half to October. It gets us to the 13th. Through most of that ensemble graph, I think, you know, we're more on the colder side than we are on the milder side there. Precipitation-wise, we've got a couple of drier days to come now, but wet weather will be back late Sunday and into the beginning of next week, so October starts on a wet note. Then again, a couple of drier days through the middle of next week before things turn more unsettled again into the last stages of next week. And the second week of October could be shaping up to be really quite wet there. Temperature anomalies from the 27th of September to 5th of October, below average, colder than average week to come, or cooler anyway. And precipitation anomalies from the 27th of September, 5th of October, bit wetter than average still in the southeast corner. That's probably still taking into account last night and this morning's deluge, I have to say. But otherwise, drier than average, especially so through central and northern regions. Latest winter map from urbannorthschool.net shows that we're getting rid of low pressure. Now that's shifting off into the continent, and with turn winds, as we've been promising, into a colder northerly. If we drag the map down, we can see that this northerly has air originating from a very long way north, all the way up here, forward, and that's slipping down the western side of Europe. So if you've not been out, head out that door, you can certainly feel the chill to that northerly wind. Right, let's start going through chart data. This time, latest UK Met Euro run. It's looking big night on Monday. Quite a deep area of low pressure coming in again, bringing more wet and windy weather in with it. So an unsettled start to next week. Later next week, a ridge starts to form from the north, so it turns drier through the middle part of the week. How long that ridge lasts is a bit uncertain, because by the time you get through to the end of the UK Met run, gets us to midnight next Friday, a week today. Low pressure already showing signs of coming back in from off the Atlantic. But like 2 or 3 days of drier weather through the middle and second half next week. Probably quite cold under that ridge, especially at night. Icon, again, that low pressure bringing a wet and windy start to next week. That low then gets out of the way by the middle of the week. High pressure slips in, turns things drier through the middle phase of the week. However, by the end of next week, it looks like... by the end of next week, it looks like that high pressure is already on its way out as low pressure is gathering out in the Atlantic. It will start to warm things up a little bit by the end of next week, though, with winds shifting back into more of a southerly, southwesterly direction. What about the KMA? Now, again, all much of a muchness for Monday. Looks like a very unsettled day indeed. Lots of heavy rain, strong winds. Middle of next week, under a ridge of high pressure, should be drier for a couple of days next week. Doesn't last for long. By the end of next week, low pressure is back in, and there we go. We're back into unsettled and quite cool conditions, really, all the way up to about the 9th of October, with low pressure remaining in control. Let's have a GFS midnight run. Is looking. So once more, low pressure bringing unsettled wet winter start to next week. That low pressure hangs around in the south and southeast, by the way, till until about Wednesday, Thursday with this GFS run. So that will keep it pretty wet in the far south and southeast. Otherwise, high pressure low is taking over for a few days later next week. However, by the first weekend of October, 5th and 6th of October, low pressure's back in again, so just 2 or 3 days of drier weather and probably quite chilly weather at night as well. But then we're back to unsettled conditions again by around days 7, 8, 9 and 10. So low pressure keeps on coming into the second week of October. Now keep an eye on this feature down here. That is the remains, or it could be tropical storm and or hurricane close to the Azores. Look what the GFS midnight run does with that. Brings it in to northern France and eventually to us. Check that out. That's the 11th of October. It's a very, very long way out, but a direct hit there from the remains of a tropical storm and or hurricane, bringing no doubt very heavy rain to the south and probably gales or even severe gale force winds to southern areas. It's a long way out. It's over 300 hours away, so it's not worth worrying about at the moment. But obviously, if that did come off, it will give a very, very stormy spell of weather down in the south. Blimey. Well, anyway, we finally send that low pressure to north of Scotland by the 12th of October, but it stays unsettled. It's the second week of October, looking very wet, windy here with low pressure well and truly in control. How does the 6th head look by comparison? Again, very unsettled on Monday, wet and windy, and then into middle of next week, high pressure gradually takes over. It's a little bit slower with high pressure taking over compared to like Icon and the UK Met, but eventually we get there by Wednesday, Thursday. High pressure is in control. Give us a few days of drier weather. High pressure actually a little bit stronger on this GFS run compared to midnight run. It takes a bit longer for the low pressure to break it down. However, by day 10, low pressure is coming back in from off the Atlantic. Now there is that the remains of that hurricane or tropical storm down here. So what does the 6th head do with that? Well, it moves it to the northwest Scotland, so a much more typical type scenario with the GFS 6th head compared to midnight run. Does turn things wet and windy, and particularly so to the north and the west, but nothing too alarming on the GFS 6th head. We do eventually, though, go back into unsettled conditions by the end of that GFS run. If you enjoyed the video, please like, share, and subscribe. Thanks so much to everyone for doing that. Why not drop a comment? Let's know what you think about this and all of our videos and content. Don't forget to tell your friends and family about GavsWeatherVids. Get them to subscribe to. Thank you so much for doing that. We need to put around 20 subscribers to get to 18.8k. If you could give us a sub, that'd be absolutely awesome. Thank you so much, everyone, for doing that. Right, GM, again, with low pressure, bringing a wet and windy start to next week, middle of the week. High pressure comes in from the Atlantic, turns things drier. Probably quite cold under that high pressure. The GM very quickly breaks that down, though. It's only like 24 hours of drier weather, really, around Thursday. And then by Friday, Saturday, we're already back into wet and windy weather. And low pressure then just remains in control right way through to the to day 10, 7th of October. So there is a lot of uncertainty about how long that high pressure next week is sticking around for. It looks like we'll get some higher pressure through the middle part of the week. How long it lasts, though, within the model output, there is quite a bit of uncertainty about that. It could last, no more than a day. It might last 2 or 3. Probably, though, by the first weekend of October, we're back into wet and windy weather. Let's see what the ECM has to say. So, again, finally, for the chart data, low pressure bringing wet and windy start to next week on Monday. Still very unsettled on Tuesday too. Then Wednesday, Thursday, high pressure slipping in from the north, turning things drier and probably quite cool under that high pressure initially anyway. Into the first weekend of October, high pressure breaking down, low pressure coming back in from off the Atlantic. And notice still quite strong northern blocking as well around Greenland and Iceland with the ECM at day 10. And there is the remains of that tropical storm and or hurricane just there, as we've already established. Obviously, as it's in the North Atlantic, we would need to see where that is going, where that feature is going. And that will be an important player maybe for the second week of October. Visible precipitation forecast based on that ECM run from Tibetco.com. Get rid of today's rain from, or last night's rain, this morning's rain from the south-southeast. Then we're into showery northerly winds, but will be a bit drier the next couple of days. But wet, windy weather back in, particularly for England and Wales, by the end of the weekend and through to the start of next week. So lots more heavy rain to come. The middle of next week turns drier. And then by the weekend of like 5th, 6th of October, we've got wet weather coming back in from off the Atlantic again, with the wet weather returning basically around days 8, 9 and 10. These are the options on the table within the ECM Ensemble today for day 10 from the Icelandic Met Office. Gets us to the 7th of October. 20 members of the ECM Ensembles with low pressure over to the west of the country, looking unsettled, wet and windy, and it's combined with a mid-Atlantic ridge going towards Greenland type pattern as well. We've got 18 members of the ECM Ensembles, including the control on the operation run, also looking very unsettled, with plenty of low pressure through the north and the west of Europe. High pressure, again, blocking in the Atlantic. And then we've got 13 just here with, again, high pressure through the Atlantic. So we're all going from the Atlantic ridge going up towards Greenland type blocking pattern, with low pressure this time more towards the south, the east of the country. They all look unsettled, I have to say, to day 10, and low pressure dominating. In 2 weeks' time, these are the options that we've got. Gets us to the 12th of October. 17 members of the ECM Ensembles again with low pressure to the east, high pressure out in the Atlantic, so cool, maybe quite cold and unsettled, winds from the northwest. 13 with higher pressure away to the northwest. Around that, we will bring the wind in from an east or northeasterly direction with low pressure over France, so that's going to be quite chilly but a little bit more settled. 11 with quite a nice ridge through the west to the north of Europe. That's going to be a much more settled scenario. Could be chilly at night, particular. And then we've got 10 here with low pressure to the east, high pressure is out to the west, and that will bring the wind in from the north, and so that will be quite a cool, maybe cold and showery scenario. A range of options, definitely at day 10, looking very unsettled still. By day 14, we might see a change to higher pressure, but all the scenarios, I think, are looking quite cool there, and maybe even quite cold. Right, and finally, this other CFS is looking today for October. 700 millibar height anomaly. Remember, these change daily. Today's idea is to have strong blocking around Greenland and Iceland, a trough of low pressure through Scandinavia and northern Western Europe. Winds, therefore, will be coming in from the north or a northeast direction. That looks like quite a cold and showery October. The temperature anomaly is average or has no signal, but I can't really see why we wouldn't come away with a cold of an average month there, to be honest. And precipitation wise, it's driving average up towards the north, where we've got blocking, otherwise not much of a signal. Could we be shaping up for a colder than average October? Let me know in the comments what you think. But the evidence is possibly gathering here, you know, within the short range and the longer range. The evidence could be gathering for a colder than average October. So, going to be interesting how it plays out. Definitely a different feel to this autumn, but as I say, doesn't necessarily mean all that much for the coming winter. All speculation. Anyway, we're done. If you enjoyed the video, please like, share, and subscribe. Thanks so much everyone for doing that. Drop a comment so what you think about this and all of our videos and content. Don't forget to tell your friends about GavsWeatherVids. Get them to subscribe too. Thank you so much for doing that. Right, I'll just tell you what's happening on my channel over the weekend. Don't forget, tomorrow we've got the tonight I should say at 7 PM we've got the ECM WF42 day for the UK and Ireland. So tomorrow though we've got the 6 AM UK weather forecast. We have got the weekend forecast, but at 10 AM we'll have the winter 2024-25 season one around at the first one of the season, getting all the long range miles together for the first time this season. That's going to be a very interesting watch at 10 AM tomorrow, and there'll be a 10 to 14 day too. On Sunday, we've got a 6 AM forecast. We've got the 5th winter update. That's going to be a real epic. Lots and lots and lots of winter updates, goodness, going to be crammed into that. And then we will be live at 5:30, 5:30, with our Sunday live stream. So we'll talk about winter update, we'll do a 10 to 14 day, and as it's Sunday live stream, there's got to be some long range included, and we will do that as well. So an epic weekend of content to come. Please keep checking back to the channel for more. But for this one, that's all for now, and thanks for watching.